I never imagined my life would take this turn. A woman in her mid-40s stands alone in a beautiful house, feeling utterly invisible. My husband was always gone, his business trips stretching from days to weeks. When he returned, his presence felt formal, lacking the warmth of a true homecoming. Our talks barely went beyond small talk. It had been years since we shared any real closeness. I kept up appearances, cooking meals, cleaning, and greeting neighbors with a smile. But inside, I was fading away. As spring began, my husband announced another trip, this time for nearly a month. I nodded, pretending to understand. As usual, I stayed quiet and didn't argue. I thought I had accepted this, or at least I believed I had. Just a week after he left, my stepson Aiden returned from college for spring break. At 22, he was tall, polite, and had always kept a respectful distance. I had raised him since his middle school days, and our bond had always been polite and formal. But now he was a grown man, and something in his gaze had changed. At first, it seemed innocent enough, yet it was different. I noticed his gaze lingered a bit longer than before. His compliments, once casual, now felt more personal. "You look beautiful today," he said one morning. His voice was warm, and though I laughed it off, my heart raced. We started spending more time together, often by chance. He helped with groceries, offered to cook dinner with me, and kept me company during late-night TV shows. I tried to ignore the growing tension, but I couldn't deny it. Every time his hand brushed mine, every moment he stood a little too close, I felt it deeply. One evening, we watched the sunset from the porch. He praised how I kept the family together, acknowledging the strength I showed for his father. I was speechless. It had been years since anyone had complimented me like that. His voice, soft and sincere, touched a part of me I had long buried. I looked at him and saw more than just my stepson. A man who truly saw me. That night, I couldn't sleep. Replaying our conversations in my mind, his gaze lingered, and I told myself it was innocent. But deep down, I knew the truth. This feeling went beyond loneliness. I had crossed an emotional line I couldn't ignore. The next morning, seeing his smile made me uneasy. I craved that attention, that intoxicating feeling of being desired, even if it was wrong. For the first time in ages, I felt truly alive. But fear lingered. I knew I was close to a point of no return. If something didn't change soon, I feared I wouldn't be able to turn back. It happened on a Thursday evening. The house was silent, the air thick with tension. As I finished dinner, a heavy rain began, and the power went out. In the candlelit darkness, the atmosphere shifted. Aiden entered the living room with 2 glasses of wine. He offered one with a gentle smile, as if sensing my need. After a moment's hesitation, I took it. We sat in silence, the only sound the rain against the windows. The wine lowered my defenses, and our conversation flowed easily, weaving through memories and emotions. He shared his feelings of drifting lately, expressing gratitude for the comfort of home and the safety he felt with me. His words wrapped around me like a warm embrace. Then he said something that left me stunned. "You don't seem to realize just how amazing you are." I looked at him, bewildered, but he held my gaze steadily. "You deserve someone who truly sees you," he continued. "Someone who brings out the best in you." My heart raced, but I didn't brush it off. I let his words sink in. I craved affection, yearned for validation. In that moment, it didn't matter who it came from. I confessed to him that sometimes I felt like I was disappearing, as if no one noticed me anymore. He reached out, taking my hand gently, and I didn't pull away. It felt natural, as if we were drawn together by fate. His touch was gentle, not forceful, but heartfelt. After so long, I finally felt seen. His gaze held more than just a look. It lingered with unspoken words and deeper thoughts. They filled the void my husband had left behind. He moved closer, and I should have stopped him, but I didn't. Our lips met in a slow, gentle kiss that spoke volumes, conveying emotions words couldn't capture. It was neither rushed nor chaotic, but deep and full of feelings we had long hidden. As the kiss ended, we sat in silence, both aware we had crossed a line we couldn't uncross. I stood up, said I was going to bed, and left him alone. but sleep didn't come. My heart pounded and my thoughts raced. I knew what we had done was wrong, more than just a kiss. It was a betrayal, not just of my husband, but of everything I thought I stood for. Yet a part of me felt no regret, a part of me that had been seen and touched in a way I had almost forgotten. Words failed me. I didn't want to speak. But I knew everything had changed. Something inside me had shifted, and I could never go back. The next morning, I avoided his gaze, moving around the kitchen as if nothing had happened. But the air was thick with unspoken words. Aiden walked in, calm and confident, as if he had crossed a line and had no regrets. He offered to help with breakfast, and I nodded, looking away. The tension between us was palpable, a force we couldn't ignore. We didn't mention the kiss, but it hung in the air, a secret too big to overlook. I told myself it was a momentary lapse, a brief mistake in judgment. But as his hand brushed mine again, I didn't move. As he reached past me for a plate, my body responded involuntarily. Shame and excitement clashed within me like stormy waves. Later that day, I caught him watching me, not casually, but with intent. His eyes studied me, taking in every detail as if it mattered. It had been years since anyone had looked at me that way, not even my husband. It was wrong, I knew it, but I couldn't resist the allure of wanting more. Aiden started spending more time at home, finding reasons to be near me. He invited me to movie nights, ran errands with me, and took long walks together. Our conversations deepened. He asked about my past, my dreams, and the sacrifices I had made. I realized how much of myself I had hidden in a marriage that gave me nothing in return. I tried to set boundaries, telling him this couldn't continue, that it was dangerous and irresponsible. He listened, nodded, and even apologized. But the next moment, he found me alone and whispered that he couldn't stop thinking about me. He insisted I deserved more than being ignored by a man who didn't see my tears at night. Each word healed a part of me, mending the pieces of my soul. One evening, he gently touched my cheek and whispered, "You don't have to pretend anymore. It's okay to feel again." I didn't respond. I didn't need to. My look said it all. The emotional boundary had been crossed, and there was no going back. What happened next was inevitable. I barely recognized myself. A woman torn between guilt and desire, balancing loyalty with a hunger to be seen. I told myself I was in control, that I could stop this before it went too far, but the truth was, I had already given in. Yet I feared the consequences, not just of being caught, but of the moment when he would leave again, when his visit would end, and I would be alone in this house once more. Will he accept this version of me as he leaves? Or will I be broken again? This moment, born from an unfixable mistake, marked the end of Aiden's break, and the weight of our actions began to press down on us both. In his quiet moments, it was clear. His eyes said a lot, but his words remained unsaid. The heaviness of our silence seemed to grow, pushing down on us with a silent force. Feeling guilty, he started packing his things, the closeness of the moment fading away. With each shirt I folded, I felt pieces of my fragile world crumbling. We had crossed a line, but what comes next? We never talked about what would happen next. He made no promises, and I didn't ask. I wanted no false hopes. I had lived too long in a fake sense of security, with a husband who barely noticed me. But this was different. It was raw, intense, and wrong, yet truly real, and now it had to end. On the night before he left, he came to me with a hint of uncertainty in his eyes for the first time since this started. He didn't try to hold my hand. He looked at me as if he had something to say but kept quiet. I have no regrets. He spoke softly. I don't want to disrupt your life. I nodded, speechless, my throat tight. Uncertainty filled me, caught between heartache and a whisper of relief. As he left the next morning, I stood at the door like a stranger watching someone walk out of my life without a goodbye. No goodbyes, no promises, just a brief moment cut short. The house returned to its silence. Yet a noticeable chill remained. As the day passed, my husband returned. Seemingly untouched by time, he brought souvenirs, stories from conferences, and talked about business deals over dinner. He didn't notice my avoidance of his gaze. He didn't see the emptiness that had grown inside me. I had given myself to another, and yet the truth was visible only to me. At first, I thought guilt would overwhelm me. But what I felt was deep sadness, not just for my actions, but for the many years spent feeling unseen. The betrayal went beyond a kiss or a touch. It was the realization that someone who shouldn't have mattered saw me more clearly in a week than my husband had in years. Aiden sent a short message. "Take care of yourself." For hours, I stared at it, thinking about every detail before finally deleting it. I knew we couldn't continue, and I also knew I couldn't go back. I had changed, and that change was permanent. In the end, I found myself in a marriage that looked fine on the outside but was empty within. I spent my days with a man who thought everything was okay. As I carried the weight of irreversible decisions, I couldn't regain what was lost. Perhaps the real punishment is not in being found out, but in enduring the silent aftermath. I learned that love without attention becomes mere routine, while attention without commitment turns into mere temptation. Amidst it all, I lost a part of myself that I can never reclaim. Hello, everyone. I'm Mia. Born and raised in Virginia, a peaceful place with tree-lined streets and rows of houses. I spent most of my childhood with my parents. My mother was a kind soul, always smiling from morning till night as she made breakfast. In our small kitchen, she cared for my father, a man of few words but great responsibility who worked hard for our family. We lived in a simple house filled with love. Everything in my memory was perfect, or so I thought. Make sure to subscribe to my channel so I can bring you more captivating true stories like this one. And don't forget to watch this video to the end because this story gets incredibly interesting. But when I was just 15, my world suddenly changed. My mother passed away after a brief and unexpected illness, so quickly that I barely understood what was happening. The emptiness grew. I watched my father become lonely in a house that once echoed with laughter. We continued to live together, but we were no longer the family we used to be. Every morning I went to school, and every night I came home. It was the same kitchen, the same simple meals, but my mother was no longer there. Each meal was just the two of us, yet the distance between my father and me felt greater than the space in the house. When I turned 18, my father remarried. It was a shock, even though I knew he deserved happiness again. His new wife, my stepmother, was kind and gentle. She brought with her a son, Alex, who was a year younger than me. At first, it felt strange, like my life had been flipped upside down. Things were no longer the peaceful existence I had known. Initially, I felt awkward trying to connect with my new younger brother, though he had never done anything to make me uncomfortable. He was quiet, like me, trying to adapt to our new situation. In the evenings, our family would gather in the living room. My dad and stepmother would chat about work or future plans while Alex and I exchanged glances, filled with confusion, making me look away. Family meals became chances for us to get to know each other better. In a strange way, Alex often helped me with food, a small gesture that felt significant. He was always quiet and didn't talk much, but sometimes his glances lingered a little too long. I wondered if I was being too sensitive, or if it was just a younger brother's affection for his new older sister. Yet, there was an undeniable tension that neither of us talked about. Feelings that should have remained purely sisterly but had become increasingly complicated. There were moments throughout the day when I felt my heart race at his proximity, and I hated that sensation. And I hated the fact that I had started to see him as more than just a brother. One night, I heard soft footsteps in the hallway. Alex slipped into my room as he often did, and we would have brief chats before he returned to his own space. But this time, he lingered longer than usual, his eyes searching mine as if he wanted to say something. I wasn't sure how to respond. The atmosphere between us felt heavy and charged. The silence stretched on, and before I could think, I nodded slightly, inviting him to stay a little longer. We sat in the darkness, two strangers who were inexplicably close. To be honest, I liked Alex quite a bit. He was handsome in a way that caught my attention. Sometimes I wondered if I should feel guilty since he was my brother by name, but those thoughts were pushed aside by the logic that came with living under the same roof. We slept in separate but nearby rooms on the second floor while my father and stepmother occupied the first floor. This arrangement sometimes led to awkward situations. Alex and I were both at important stages in our lives. I was a college freshman, and he was a senior in high school, busy preparing for exams. We were both adjusting to the new rhythm of life. But the tension between us was clear. On quiet evenings after school, we would sit together on the sofa in the living room, the TV's glow illuminating our silence as we struggled to find words. The feelings between us were unclear, not the typical emotions of siblings. I realized I genuinely liked him beyond familial affection. This realization confused me. Yet, I couldn't deny that my heart raced whenever I saw Alex. It was a peaceful evening like any other when I realized it wouldn't end the same way. My parents had gone on a trip for about 5 days, leaving Alex and me alone at home. Initially, we thought it would be a chance to relax without adult supervision. That night, we found ourselves in the living room watching a romantic movie that neither of us cared for, just passing the time. I had prepared some snacks, including dried squid and a few cans of Sodatown Wind. After a busy week, the movie began. We chatted casually, laughter filling the stillness of the house. But then an unexpected scene came on, showing a couple in a passionate embrace. For some reason, we fell silent. The laughter faded, and the space between us grew thick with unspoken words. I could feel Alex's gaze on me, and a warm sensation spread through my body as I sat there, holding my soda can to calm my nerves. Suddenly, without warning, Alex embraced me. His movements were strong, unexpected, and utterly irresistible. His kisses were urgent, as if all the emotions we had suppressed for so long had exploded. I couldn't resist. My heart raced in turmoil. But my body responded differently. We had crossed the line that separated sibling affection in that moment. In the darkness of the quiet room, that evening shifted from ordinary to extraordinary. It was a pivotal moment, a change that would forever alter everything. Alex and I were inseparable, crossing every line. We barely spoke. Everything happened naturally, driven by long, suppressed feelings. The closeness we once had was gone, replaced by emotions we couldn't control. I vividly recall waking up the next morning. As soft sunlight streamed through the curtains, I lay beside Alex in what should have been my peaceful sanctuary. Everything around me was the same. The room quiet, the light warm. But something inside me had changed forever. We exchanged few words, sharing looks that seemed to convey a shared understanding. Our lives would never be the same. In the following days, my father and stepmother continued their travels, and we made the most of our time alone. There was no more awkwardness, only a complex ease. We lived like a young couple in love, free from prying eyes. Meals went from family affairs to intimate moments shared only between Alex and me. Each night, we watched movies, talked, and ended our days in the same bed. During this time, I let myself forget reality, pretending Alex and I were more than just siblings by name. We existed as a carefree couple, oblivious to the world. Eventually, my parents returned. The moment they entered the house, everything went back to normal. Alex and I resumed our roles as siblings, acting as if nothing had happened, as if every intimate moment had been just a fleeting dream. My parents remained clueless, smiling and sharing stories from their travels, while Alex and I exchanged knowing looks, aware that our secret must stay hidden. In the months that followed, we continued our secret relationship, stealing moments whenever we could. Those hidden evenings filled with passion became routine. Whenever my parents went to bed early or went out, Alex would sneak into my room, and we would hold each other as if the day's barriers never existed. We acted normal during family meals, exchanging only brief glances, but the hidden tension left me breathless, yet guilt gnawed at me. But it wasn't strong enough to make me stop. I continued living in secrecy. Every night with Alex became so familiar that I feared I could never escape. I knew I couldn't let this continue, so I quietly started taking birth control pills, ensuring no one would find out. I dreaded the potential fallout of our relationship. But instead of stopping, I tried to maintain control. About a year later, Alex graduated and moved to a new city for college. When he left, I knew our relationship would inevitably change, even if I didn't want to admit it. The distance made things harder. No more secret nights, no more quiet moments shared. The physical separation forced us to pause our relationship. Though I often felt nostalgic for our past after graduating, I sought a new path. I applied for a job as an office worker at a digital company. The position was nothing special, but it offered me stability, a break from the emotional chaos I had experienced. That's when I met him, the man who would change my life forever. He owned a successful hair salon in the city and radiated calmness, confidence, and charm. From our first meeting, I was struck by his strength and kindness. He was unlike anyone I had ever known. Every story he shared, every glance he offered made me feel safe, something I'd long yearned for. We fell in love quickly. Everything unfolded naturally, as if we were meant to find each other. Before long, we were married, starting the family life I had always dreamed of. Now we have a child together, and life feels more complete than ever. My days with him and our child helped me temporarily forget the painful memories of the past. Although they occasionally resurface during weak moments, I know I have found a new home, a man worthy of love and respect. Yet, somewhere in my mind, the memories of Alex and those secret days linger, refusing to fully fade. I often wonder if I will ever truly forget, but now I have a family to protect, and that is what matters most. Still, a part of me feels guilty towards my husband. He is a wonderful man, always showing me genuine care and affection. But every time I look into his eyes, I feel a heaviness in my heart, as if I am hiding a part of my past that he deserves to know. I struggle with whether I should tell him about my past with Alex. The thought keeps me awake at night, torn between revealing the truth and keeping the secret forever. I fear that if I confess, he might never look at me the same way again. Everything we have built, the little family I cherish, could crumble due to my admission. On the other hand, living with this secret feels like a burden weighing me down each day. It makes me feel unworthy of the love he has for me. Honestly, I don't know what to do. I stand at a crossroads, uncertain which path is the right one. Perhaps when you hear my story, you will judge me for the pain I caused and the poor decisions I made in the past. But I can only ask you, if you were in my situation, what would you do? Would you choose to confess the truth, knowing it might shatter everything? Or would you choose silence, letting the past sink deep into your memory, hoping it never returns to harm those you love? I hope to receive your advice in the comment section below. If you were in my shoes, what would you choose? Should I share everything and face the consequences, or should I keep the secret to safeguard what I have? I appreciate any advice, sympathy, or criticism because truly I find myself at a crossroads, uncertain of the right path forward.